get more granular with the best practices that we have. So, first of all, the most important thing that I want to emphasize during this call is that as important as YouTube is because of the monetization opportunities that it has, we still have got to upload our videos into MPX. And eventually, when we roll to a new player, when we start using Google, we still need to use that player. So everything you post on the website should be an embed from MPX. However, YouTube, it's an entire community, it's an entire ecosystem, and we definitely should be there. So still post content there, but just make sure that what you're pushing to on your website, what you're pushing to via social, hold on one second. Thank you. Um, is all content that that is coming from a player that we get a higher CPM on, which is the MPX player. So before, the mentality was like, don't post anything on YouTube unless there's something wrong with MPX. But like I said, first the workflow should be first upload it onto MPX, get it up on the website, promote it as you would normally, then put it up on YouTube. You should still be tagging, and I'll go through some of those things that you should be doing, but don't even worry about promoting on YouTube, because what I found is if you just kind of label things properly and get it up in a timely fashion, you can still get great traction on there, even though you're not pushing to it on the website. Um, so the first thing I would suggest, whenever you start, moving forward with YouTube, post consistently. So posting once a month isn't going to do it for you. I found it to be very similar to Facebook, in that if you neglect Facebook for a long time, you're not going to see the return that you would if you were active on there and posting consistently. So a lot of times we kind of forget that content that we used in the past still has value. So even if, like right now, not Wendy Williams, like Wendy Williams, when she went through her fading spell, and then let's say you had an interview with her when she was doing her promo run for her app, you can post some of that content up there, even though it may not be the most timely. But when you do post it and it is older, make sure that you note that it's older and don't try to present it as though it's something new. Even older content can do very well on YouTube. And on social, I found that there's value to using Wayback Wednesday for older video to recycle it, or Throwback Thursday or Flashback Friday. But for YouTube, I don't think you really need to, be that specific and say like, hey, I'm posting this because it's Wayback Wednesday. I think if you just kind of post and, in the caption mention that, hey, this is an interview that we did in 2013, and it was Wendy before she lost all her weight and she seemed much healthier or whatever. If you want to contextualize it to something that's trending now, that's fine. But if not, if you just want to keep it pretty straightforward, there's still value in that. Have any of you all tried posting older content to YouTube and seen it work? Okay. Well, it does. Trust me. So definitely try that. So post consistently. So I would suggest once a day. And so even if there's a piece of content that let's say you only generate 2 or 3 pieces of video a week, still post something once a day. Or let's say you have an interview and you had 5 pieces of that interview, schedule them to go once a day, because there's still value in having the consistency on YouTube as opposed to posting 30 pieces of content in one day and then neglecting it for weeks to come. So if you have a hot concert, and of course, with those events you get a lot of content, don't feel like it can only go up that day or the day after. Take content and continue to post it so that you keep feeding it. But let's say you want to just kind of set it and forget it. The good thing about YouTube is you can schedule content to go up later. Hold on, let me move this out of the way to show you guys. So you would just upload. I'll just take a pretend piece of video, or actually, I do need to post that. So, you know, I would, when it's time to publish, I would actually tell it to schedule. Actually, right here, I would schedule it instead of publishing it. Well, this is a bad example. This is a promo, so I would post it immediately. But if this were a piece of, if I had several pieces of content that I wanted to keep populating YouTube, I would just schedule it. Um, I've seen bits on YouTube where they kind of talk about preferred posting times, but for our purposes, I think if we just get into a daily flow, that's going to help us tremendously. Um, and then, make sure you add a title and a description. The tags I've found, one, I think from a user standpoint, the titles are really important because that's what draws the user in. But from a getting your content seen by people who may not even be subscribing to your account, the tags are very powerful because it directs your content and links it to other pieces of content even though you may not have a connection to them. So that's why I was kind of recommending that. Well, actually, I was recommending that you guys take content that you may not have posted on YouTube previously when something's trending. Because as people, like right now with Tyrese, people are still talking about Tyrese. If you have an old Tyrese interview, it might be worth putting up on YouTube just because people are watching him and talking about him a lot on social. So by you posting that older piece of content, you may be able to generate views that you might not have gotten otherwise. Does anybody have any questions about anything I've covered so far? Cool. Compelling titles. One of the things that I think is so dirty about YouTube is, you know how people will create like their take on an event, like for example with the whole Tamar Braxton divorce thing. I'll see people put up videos and it'll say why Tamar and Vince divorced, and then it's like just some random person talking for like 20 minutes, giving, but not even really giving you why they got divorced. Like they gave you a dope title, but the content doesn't match what the video is actually about. So make sure that you're not overselling, but make sure that you aren't being boring either. A lot of times people will have really powerful interviews and it'll say, Jay-Z talks about his new album and, you know, running Rock Nation. Like nobody cares about that. What did he say about Beyonce, or what was that heartfelt story he told about cheating and getting caught or something like that? So just make sure you don't focus on the overarching piece of it all, but you're really giving something people to hook into. And then, let's say you do want to give it in the description and talk about all the things he talked about, do that there. But don't feel like you have to include everything in the headline, and don't be boring. Don't talk about, oh, you got it to work. Oh, cool. Oh my God. Well, it works. Yeah, and just make sure that you're compelling in your headline. Even though YouTube is generous in the character limitations in the titles, don't feel like you have to use it all. Powerful, concise headlines still matter, even on YouTube. All right. Oh, and with radio, we always forget like audio is also is also great content. So you may not have been in the studio to capture that compelling piece of content that went out over the airwaves, but hold on, let me make this smaller so you can see. All right. I don't want to separate that, but here we go. Okay, so Tunes to Tube is great because if you have an MP3 and an image, you can just go there and upload upload a piece of audio, upload a picture, and then it'll convert it into a video for you. And then actually from here, you can actually upload it onto YouTube. So as I talk about like feeding YouTube daily, grab those great pieces of content that may be audio and just use Tunes to Tube to convert it. So that way, you can be populating your YouTube channel consistently. And some of the benchmarks and features that happen on the stations can be good. Some of you guys have talent who do podcasts. Some of you do podcasts. So don't feel like it totally has to be video because, I mean, we know music does really well on YouTube. So it doesn't have to have a visual element, but it just has to be converted. And what I like about Tunes to Tube, I mean, you can do the same thing on iMovie or I almost said Pro Tools. What is that?
QuickTime?
No. I don't know why I can't think of the other video editing software that most people who are really good at editing use. But those, no.
Final Cut?
Thank you, Final Cut. Yeah, so instead of using Final Cut or instead of using iMovie, you can just basically do the same thing in a very concise way with Tunes to Tube. So time saver. Something else that's recommended for YouTube is to actually have some imaging for your channel so that it. Oh my gosh, I have so much going on right now. Hold on. I'm going to find that other screen. Oh gosh. Oh yeah, here we go. So yeah, take the time to create imaging because it really just kind of draws people in. It makes it look official, and then have the actual you know a thumbnail image to reflect your brand. I love what Bobby Pin does on hers because it really feels like she spends time on here and it looks personal. And I love the imaging that she uses for her YouTube channel. And then another thing that I would recommend you guys take the time to do is to create playlists because it's just an easy way for someone to click on something and then just watch your videos continuously. So events are great. Interviews are great because usually if someone's kind of into an interview that you've done, um, you can expose them to other great conversations that you've had. You can break it down by personalities. So let's say everything on the beat that features Vita Loca, you can have all of her stuff in there. And it's not exclusive. So let's say there's a video of Vita Loca with J. Cruz. You can have that same video in the playlist for J. Cruz, and you can also have it in the playlist for Vita Loca. And it's just another opportunity for your video to be seen by more people. Is Bobby Pin on the phone? I guess that's no. But anyway, it's beautiful. And then here are her playlist. Some interviews she did at Essence, BET Awards, and these are great because when these type of interviews, she rolled this out like BET Awards weekend. That's great because there's a lot of conversation around that, and then even like like the Soul Train awards where they film them and then show them later. I definitely recommend creating the playlists that are centric to a particular event because that's more likely to get traction. The only thing I would do is like she did here, Essence Fest 2017 or BET Awards, but then she may have BET Awards through multiple years, so that's very cool. And then even if she had like an interview playlist, a lot of the content that's here in the Essence playlist and also the BET Awards playlist is also very beneficial to have it in that other one. The only thing that I would recommend, because I see the magic of playlists and why they're great, but be strategic about it. So don't create a playlist for everything. What I started to do was because for interviews, I don't just put up the whole interview because typically the interviews tend to be like 20 to 30 minutes long. I break them, chop them up in 5-minute segments. And then I was doing like a playlist for each celebrity, but that's too tedious. So I wouldn't recommend that unless you like become a full on YouTuber and can really maintain those. But having interviews is very powerful. Yeah, and then even like just clicking on their playlist with the beat, I like that it's not too busy. It's pretty concise, and then also um, you don't want to have so many that it feels overwhelming, and also you want them to know what it's about without having to know much about the station. Any questions on anything I've covered so far?
Thank you, Darnella.
Oh, you're welcome. Is that Bobby Pin?
Yes, I just joined. I'm sorry I missed the beginning.
Oh, I'm so glad I wasn't saying anything shady. You do a great job. So I love your content. Audio clips. Oh, so Facebook Live. I think like I love Facebook Live because there's such great engagement, but there's still value to those videos after you use them. And I actually did that for a video and received a great amount of views on YouTube. So after your video is finished going live, just let me show you how to download it in case you don't already know. Uh, Click on it. Yes, once it connects. Mute it. Oh no, that's not it. Hold on. Where is it? That's the problem with live demonstrations when you're on pain medication. Um, okay. Maybe it's here. Okay, yeah. So instead of it being down here, it's up on the upper right. And then just download the video. And then just simply, all I do, I copy the title, I copy the caption, unless it has something that's like Moni Love. She uses the real Moni Love when I tag her on social. So I would just change that to Moni Love if I was using a video with her, and then I would just upload it to YouTube, tag it, and what I do like about YouTube is you're not limited by the tags, but I haven't seen any benefit by like tagging everything. Include tags, but be selective about tags. Only tag the things that are most germane to the video. So, for example, with this video, um, Gary with the T's in it, and he's talking about Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade. So I would tag them. I may do a Ricky Smiley morning show tag because this is of that. But I'm not going to tag the random people that he talks to throughout the video. And then it just becomes to be too much. And another thing I've realized is like when I get too anal about YouTube and do too much, then I don't post every day, which defeats the whole purpose of what seems to be the most beneficial is by the consistency in posting. So the most important thing is to get it up. Make sure that you're posting daily, but don't feel like you have to put 50 tags because it almost seems like you're diluting what it's about. So if you stay a little more focused on what the video is actually about, you'll get more traction that way instead of trying to tag every single thing that they talk about in that video. So tagging, covered that, use playlist. Oh, and so when thinking about because I like to compare YouTube to Facebook because they're both algorithmic based. So it helps me kind of think about the best practices that work there and also work on YouTube. So with Facebook, sharing is the most powerful, comments is the second most powerful, and then likes is the least effective simply because that's the most shallow interaction. But on YouTube, according to what I've read, comments is the most powerful engagement that you can get from a user. So make sure that when people do take the time to comment, that you're actually interacting with them and responding or liking their comment or something like that, because that's that's one of the keys to helping your video get a little more virality behind it. The other thing is, I see some people who are like, hey, make sure you comment below. Some things aren't really worth commenting on. So it's kind of like the same way when you ask people to share your content. Don't just do it to do it. Like, do it if there's really something compelling to share. Do it in an organic way that's, like, hey, I want to know what you think about this. Leave your comment below and encourage your talent when they are creating content to encourage people to comment as they create the videos, because that's going to help your content draw more engagement, whether it be on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or YouTube. Did anyone have any questions? Okay, I have questions. Okay, so Bobby Pin, what have you found to be the most important thing that you needed to learn when you first started being active on YouTube?
Um, Titles, honestly. Getting people to find your content among like millions of uploads an hour is like not easy. So I had to relearn how to put like SEO strong titles, or what would somebody search to find this video.
Hmm.
And then from there, um, yeah, that would be the first thing.
Okay. How often do you post?
Not as often as I would like,
I
but
know. Yeah, it's hard because I mean, when you think about it, there's people who like this is literally their job. Like that's what they do.
yeah,
So, we're competing against them, and you know, even on a personal level, like I have such an awesome strategy and vision, but just not enough hours in the day to do my job and do what I want to do on my personal accounts. But for our brand accounts, the fact that people already know our brands, it's a lot easier to get subscribers because even with this morning show account, it never got any promotion, and in about a year, I think it's at like 23,000 subscribers. So you can grow because we have the familiarity of the brands. But for me, when I was able to get the most engagement on the Ricky Smiley Morning Show channel, it was simply from posting daily. And even I post like promotional video content where they're just kind of telling people to tune in to the show. I mean, to me, they're like ads or just very promotional, but people still watch them. And it's better to give them that than nothing at all. So if there's no interview, I'll still feed that on a daily basis because at least it gets me in the workflow of populating something on a daily basis. So whatever you guys have, Tunes to Tube is amazing because you can convert audio to video. But take those random moments, take things that have worked on other platforms, rip them from Facebook, put them on YouTube because it's only going to help you. And the more you can kind of replicate what you're doing on other platforms without creating more work, the better it's going to be for all of us. And the quicker we'll be able to monetize these channels. The last thing I wanted to tell you guys is in order to